I'm Rolika Roach, and welcome to the Life Council of Ministers press briefing for today, July 4th, 2018. At this time, I invite the Minister of Finance, the Honorable Perry Hearlings, to address you. Minister Hearlings.
The deadline to pay your road tax is up per July 1st. Together with the Ministry of Justice, we will pursue at least those who did not pay as yet. I would really ask the population to come in and pay your taxes. It is a win-win. We need the money, and you will avoid fines. Then I would also like to announce that I will be leaving this afternoon for a working visit to Curacao, and the topics that I will be are the Central Bank of Curacao is high on our list. There are various topics that we need to discuss with the Central Bank. Has to do with the appointment of the new board of directors. And we will also be discussing there's a special day earmarked for that on Friday, where, well, the central bank is actually busy in revamping the bank institution to become more up to par with the needs and the wants of the 21st century. There were some recommendations in the PwC report, and they are busy implementing those. So we will have a brain session, mini seminar or congress going on Friday. But next to that, I will also meet the board of directors and the board of representative supervisory board to discuss where we stand as St. Maarten, also in connection with our branch here in St. Maarten. Something that I am passionate about. It's about time that we get our branch up to par with the bank as it's functioning in Curacao. So it's a good thing that we make sure that ours gets up and running ASAP. Then I will also make use of the opportunity to visit the offices of the CFT. The CFT, as you know, is our general auditor for our budgets, and it's an ongoing relationship with ups and downs. I will make use of the opportunity to visit their office, but also to discuss the issues that we have right now. Tomorrow, on Friday, July 6th, the Kingdom Council, Kingdom Council of Ministers meeting will be held in The Hague, and one of the agenda points will be the liquidity support for the first quarter of 2018 for St. Maarten. Based on an advice of that same CFT. I'm very positive that we will get that done in that meeting, but there are some logistical matters that we need to streamline, and that's one of the topics that I will be discussing with the CFT in Curacao as well. Let me see if there's anything else that I could inform you about. And furthermore, on my trip to Curacao, I will be discussing with some experts the revamping of our tax department and all that we need to do for this tax department. I mean, we have plans, of course, for a complete new building, but that is secondary. But mainly it is to clean up our data, our klantenbestand, as we say, and make it a more favorable environment to work and get the compliance of our customers, the taxpayer, going on a higher level. So those discussions will also take place while I'm in Curacao, and that is it for now. Thank you, Madam Moderator.
Thank you, Minister Heerlings, for your opening remarks. At this time, I invite the Minister of Tourism, Economic Affairs, Transport, and Telecommunication, the Honorable Stuart Johnson, to address you. Minister Johnson.
This morning, as Minister in charge of TIAT, I would like to make it very clear that for the Ministry of TIAT, I'm suspending all travel at this time unless vital for the economy and the ministry itself. When we take a look around St. Martin at this time, and we continue to see there's things that we need to fix in our local economy, things we need to fix as a destination, I believe it's of paramount importance that at this time, all travel within the ministry is suspended unless deemed necessary for the economy. I want us also to realize that it cannot be business as usual. It's not business as usual. When we look at our tourism product and the redevelopment of it, it continues to be a focus of the ministry as I sit with the tourist office and others that have introductory meetings to discuss the redevelopment of our tourism product, to continue to reach out to stakeholders that they understand that on St. Martin that we are continuing to redevelop our tourism product, to ensure that there is hospitality as soon as persons arrive at the airport, to ensure that businesses and restaurants have service-oriented staff, that we continue to maintain a high level of quality, and that we continue to remember that St. Martin truly was the friendly island. This week, I also have planned a series of introductory meetings as well as meetings with different stakeholders, both large and small scale hotels. That is, again, part of the tourism product development. I look forward to those sessions going well. Thus far, I've met with the Oyster Bay Resort and DV Resort. I have also planned for this week is the Maho Group, as well as being able to meet with the airport and harbor respectively. In addition to that, in the past week, as all know, I have met with the St. Martin Carnival Development Foundation. Rooted into the governing program of this coalition is the 50th celebration of Carnival. So that again is in line with the governing program. And of course, I look forward to the entire ministry, the entire public of St. Martin, understanding that at this time, for the Ministry of TIAT, it is not going to be business as usual. And the reason for suspending travel at this time is because we really have to address our local issues. I intend to meet with the Nature Foundation to address the sawgrassism that is affecting our island, to get not only a full understanding of what we can do as a nation to address the problem, but more so to ensure that the Nature Foundation, in collaboration with this ministry, understands that a partnership is of vital importance. So we'll continue to ensure that we have that strong connection going forward. So at this time, I would like to thank the public of St. Martin, and I look forward to any questions from the press, and thank you once again.
Thank you, Minister Johnson, for your opening remarks. At this time, I invite the Minister of Public Housing, Spatial Planning, Environment, and Infrastructure, the Honorable Miklos Gietersen, to address you. Minister Gietersen.
Some time has passed since my last press briefing, as I have been very busy working for and representing the people of St. Martin. Of course, I try to make it to every press briefing to give an update, but unfortunately, that is not always possible. Last week, I was once again entrusted with the immense task of being your Minister of Public Housing, Spatial Planning, Environment, and Infrastructure. I am humbled by the belief and confidence placed in me, and I look forward to working along with the other ministers of the Romeo Marlin II cabinet. I welcome new colleague ministers, Minister Smith, Minister Heerlings, and Minister Johnson, and I look forward to continuing and further expanding on the very important work entrusted to this council. I would like to thank outgoing Minister Ferrier for his work, ideas, and dedication to this great country in the last 5 months, and for the great advice given to me. My briefing for today is as follows. Last night, after about a month and a half of no incidents, flames erupted once again at our local landfill. I know that my fellow St. Martin people are suffering from this, and believe me when I say the Ministry of ROMI is diligently working towards solving this problem for good. The fire department was on the scene, and it has been reported that the fire is now contained. Since June 8th and up to this point, World Bank hired consultants, EE&G, have been executing assessments for the procurement report on the landfill, which should be submitted to the World Bank for procurement in August. This will lead to the release of granted funds to help solve our landfill issue. In other updates, works will begin shortly on the patching of several key roads, namely the Corralito Road, L.B. Scott Road, Sucker Garden Road, Union Road, and Bishop Hill Road. Works will begin within the coming days and last for approximately 2 weeks. We ask motorists to please pay keen attention as they are driving along these routes. Also, the annual hurricane season cleanup campaign continues, whereby the various waste haulage companies on the Dutch side will continue to be in the districts for the next few weeks, specifically picking up materials that they might not normally have picked up, such as large debris, refrigerators, stoves, old furniture, etc. Car wrecks will also be picked up in the coming days. I urge residents to take note of the schedules for the respective districts and make use of this opportunity to do a general cleanup of their property in preparation for the season. Please pay attention to the specific dates for your district and only place your items out on the day indicated. The schedule can be found in the bulletin board section of our local newspaper. It is also on the government's webpage and Facebook page, as well as the Facebook page of the Ministry of Rummy. The Sawgrass seaweed cleanup is also in the preparation phase. Next, I would like to report on my most recent trip abroad, representing St. Martin at the Resilient Infrastructure Forum for Latin America, the Caribbean, and Gulf of Mexico last week in the Dominican Republic. The forum aimed to bring together key stakeholders from the public and private sectors of the region in the hopes of creating a synchronized long-term strategy to combat challenges caused by natural disasters. Projects and investment opportunities were presented in key sectors such as housing, electricity and energy, water supply and waste treatment, telecommunications, transport, education, and health. The forum featured plenary sessions to address major issues and opportunities. Public sector leaders presented needs from the private sector and proposed plans and projects for the development of resilient infrastructure. I was also able to visit exhibitions where developers in the field of technology showcase their equipment, materials, and services. I look forward to utilizing and applying the information, ideas, and inspiration gathered at this forum with the relevant departments in VROMI. Lastly, I would like to inform the general public that in the coming days, the perimeter at the base of the flagpole on the Colby Hill will be barred off from the general public. This will be done to ensure that persons do not hurt themselves or damage property by being in areas they are not meant to be. I ask that persons respect these boundaries and our national flag, and also in consultation with the Prime Minister, efforts will continue to beautify this area. This concludes my press briefing for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Heatherson, for your opening remarks. The Minister of Justice is present. However, he will not be making any opening statements at this time, but will be available for any questions the media may have. At this time, I invite the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Education, Culture, Youth and Sport, the Honorable Wycliffe Smith, to address you.
I would like to say that I've been barely a week in office, and it has been pleasantly hectic and extremely busy. One of the things I would like to highlight is the Emancipation Day celebration, which took place on Sunday, July the 1st. On this day, the southern side of St. Martin celebrated Emancipation Day, 155 years since enslaved Africans on the Dutch side officially received their freedom on July the 1st, 1863. And what a celebration it was. The Department of Culture under the leadership of Ms. Clara Reyes and her staff, organized an unforgettable Emancipation Day commemoration under the theme, "The Water Remembers." It started at 5:15 in the morning at the Captain Hodges Pier, and for a very early morning celebration, the turnout, I would say, was fairly good, because I'm sure that a lot of people did not expect such a quality and impacting production. I would like to say to the parents and adults, make sure that your children get to see and experience an Emancipation Day commemoration. It is part of our history and our culture, and they need to know this. I said to Clara Reyes, this production was so good, it's going to be difficult for you to outdo it or surpass it. Her response was, I have a lot of creativity in my pockets, and my pockets are very deep. So with great expectation, we are looking forward to next year's Emancipation Day commemoration. And I want to thank the staff of the Department of Culture and all who participated and contributed to the success of The Water Remembers. While on the Emancipation Day celebration, let me also thank the Voices Foundation for organizing their annual cultural ancestral activities each Emancipation Day. The foundation pays respect to our ancestors and also honors the unsung heroes of today. It is another way of keeping our history and our cultural heritage alive. It was really a pity that more people, especially our children and our youth, were not present. And I definitely concur with the Honorable Prime Minister, who, during her speech at that time, pleaded that especially our school children should be made aware and be part of this historical and cultural event. As Minister of Education, the Emancipation Day events, as well as other historical cultural events, will be something I will be discussing with the Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth and Sports, and with school boards and with school managers. I have begun a very intensive set of meetings with the various departments and divisions that fall under this huge, very huge Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth and Sports. As you may know, the ministry consists of 4 policy departments, namely Education, Culture, Youth and Sports, and these departments have an advisory function. They advise the Secretary General and the Minister of Education. There are also 6 divisions that fall under the Ministry of Education. The divisions of inspection, study financing, student support services, innovations in education, examinations, and public education, under which all the public schools on the island fall. And so from time to time, I will be giving you information about these departments and the executive divisions so that you, the press, but also the people, will be able to know where to go when they have questions or when they have problems. In last week's briefing, I also mentioned that I intend to put more emphasis on culture, youth, and sports, because education already is the biggest department as far as the budget, the staff, and the focus are concerned. And today, I just want to highlight the Department of Sports. I want you to know that the Department of Sports is more a policy department that drafts policies and laws and guidelines that govern the sports activities on the island. The executive branches of the sports functioning, they're done by, for example, the St. Martin Sports Federation and the National Sports Institute. And I can share a bit more about the sports, but I think it would be of more interest to let you know what's happening or going to take place in a few weeks from today. That is one of the highlights of the summer as far as sports are concerned. St. Martin will be represented in the Central American and Caribbean Games, or the CAC Games, as we call it. These games will be taking place from July 19th until August 4th in Barranquilla, Colombia. St. Martin will be represented by 7 athletes who will be participating in the aquatic, judo, cycling, and sailing categories of the games. And I would like to take some time and recognize them for their efforts, for they're already winners, simply by way of taking part and representing our island in such prestigious games. And the persons who are taking part are Shamar Thomas in aquatics, Jan Willem Bus, sailing, Alec Scarabelli, Garth Stein, and Jolion Ferron, also sailing, Michelangelo Bell, judo, and Wilfred Chittick, cycling. They will be accompanied by a sport delegation consisting of managers, coaches, technical coordinators, and a medical team, all of whom are qualified and stand ready to ensure that our athletes are prepared and taken care of during the games. These athletes are all part of the Promising Athletes program that was started back in 2015 by the St. Martin Sport Olympic Federation, currently headed by Mr. Artwicht Bell. The program started with 100 plus participants with the purpose of training and identifying athletes to represent St. Martin in the CAC Games. Some 2 years later, these 7 athletes are the ones that displayed the necessary technical skills, and I dare say positive attitudes that allow them to be our sports ambassadors today. I congratulate the entire delegation and also the hard-working staff of the Ministry of Sports for a job well done. Our schools close on Friday for the summer holidays, and thanks to teachers, school managers, and school boards for completing a very difficult year. But you did it. And in a subsequent press briefing, I'll share with you the academic results for this year. This is all for now, and I'm ready to take any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Smith, for your opening remarks. If you've just joined us, you are watching the live Council of Ministers press briefing. We now go over to the question and answer session. Stephen Cerulean of PJD2 Radio, you have the floor.
My question is for the Minister of TIAT, Mr. Johnson. According to reports, the U.S. pre-clearance for the airport has been stalled. Can you provide some information?
Thank you, Stephen, for your question. And of course, from an economic standpoint, for the ministry, it's an all-clear sign. We have given the all-clear, and the process so far is continuing. And as you know, negotiations and some matters are still being dealt with, and I'm sure my colleague, Minister of Justice, will be able to further elaborate. But for the economic standpoint and my ministry, the all-clear continues to be very important for the ministry, and we continue to ensure that everything has been finalized on our end.
Good morning. If I may just add to that as well, this is a project that involves the Ministry of Foreign Affairs under the Prime Minister, the Ministry of Justice, as well as the Ministry of TIAT. The financial and economic impact that this will have for St. Martin is really great, and all instructions have been given to continue these negotiations, not to hold them back at all, and to make sure that whatever needs to be done on our end is done by each ministry, and make sure that that is communicated with the relevant authorities.
Alita Singh of the Daily Herald, you have the floor.
Thank you, Relaika. Good morning, ministers. Minister Johnson, one of your points this morning was the suspension of all unnecessary travel within your ministry. What do you consider unnecessary travel? Has there been unnecessary travel? And how much will that, in the end, save the government?
Well, Alita, thank you also for your question. If we look at the destination right now, and the first question would be, what are we selling? Our hotels still have to be fully opened. The destination itself still has to be cleaned up. So for me, I found it of paramount importance at this time to indeed suspend travel for the ministry. A travel, of course, necessary for the economy would be of vital importance, would be permissible, but again, it would have to be on a case-by-case basis. So at this time now, I think it's important that we really focus on the local issues that we have as a destination, that we ensure that we look at the tourism development product, that we focus on that with the hoteliers, we deal with the different stakeholders, get to hear their concerns, because at this critical stage in St. Martin's redevelopment as a destination, like I made mention in my opening remarks, it's important that we realize it is not business as usual.
Thank you, Minister Johnson. We move on to the second round of questions. Stephen Cerulean, you have the floor.
Minister of Finance, you said that, well, we know that the deadline for the paying of road tax expired as of July 1st. Can you tell us, if you may, as to how many persons are yet to pay for the road tax?
Thank you, Steve, for the question. Unfortunately, I tried to obtain the figures early this morning again, but they are not readily available. But as soon as I get it, I will provide them to you.
Alita Singh.
Thank you.
1 second, sorry, Ms. Roach. Sorry
Yes,
to
Minister De
interrupt.
Wever.
If I can just add to
You may.
Minister Hilling's statement, because that was done during, I guess, our tenure, and it was done out of the thoughtfulness that the community needed and the break that they needed. And I want to make sure that people understand that and respect that, but also that they don't try to all of a sudden play the system and say, well, I'm only going to pay for 6 months. That was never the agreement. If you buy a new car now, then yes, you would pay 6 months for the rest of the year. But for those who appreciated the break and who took advantage of it, to please comply and pay for the rest of the year, for the entire year, as was the original idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister De Wever. Alita Singh.
Thank you again. Like Minister of Finance, Mr. Kerlings, you spoke about the revamping of the tax department. We've been speaking about this for more than maybe 3 decades. There have been numerous studies. I think if we stack them up in here, we'll probably fill the room. So what now is the actual thing that will happen with the tax department? Not only physically the building, but really what's needed now is a revamping of the structure itself. Are we going to have another study? You're going to have more talks about this, or is there actually something that will be done this time around?
Thank you, Alita. Good morning to you. Good question. We don't need more reports, more research. All of that has been done. But what we need to do is to compile all that information that we gathered over the past decades, as you put it, to put it to work in a workable plan of action. We are busy working that out right now. I'm going to talk to some stakeholders who are supposed to contribute. But most importantly is the start. As a matter of fact, I will have a meeting after this press briefing with the head of the tax department. The start is to clean up your data, to clean up the information data that we have, because compliance, of course, in the restructure and rebuilding of St. Martin is going to be of the utmost importance. We cannot build up on one hand and our tax department lags behind. That's not going to happen under my watch. But basically we're going to start cleaning up, make sure that we reach out to the clients that we have and that it is easier for them also to reach out to us. Next to that, we will have to simplify our tax system. Because that will also, in my opinion and in the opinion of some of those reports, will raise the compliance percentage as well. So what we can do on a short term, we will start I cannot give a definitive time, but it is also necessary that you have the funds to do so. And the talks to get the support, the technical assistance to start working on our tax department have been ongoing for almost a year now. But we just need to kind of give it a frame in which we can do it. The problem that I am facing right now is the financial burden that we have and make ends meet for the country. So you have to prioritize. Tax department is a priority. But the other issue is we have a trust fund that we can make use of. We have the possibilities of acquiring loans for this project. And we are actually in both avenues and see which one can be realized ASAP, because time is the problem that we have right now, and I think that's across the board in all the ministries that are relying on some help from the trust fund. It is very time consuming, but it is coming nearer and nearer and nearer, so that is the issue that we have at that right now.
Thank you, Minister Heerlings. We now move on to the final round of questions. Stephen Cerulean, you have the floor.
Mr. Gitterson, you indicated that the ROMI is working diligently to solving the problem at the dump. Can you tell us specifically what has been done to ensure that this problem is eliminated once and for all, as you put it?
Good morning. Thank you for the question, Stephen. Like I said, the EENG, which is the consultants from the World Bank, they are right now busy working, doing assessments on the dump. Right now, as we speak, they've been here since the 8th of June. And in order for funds to be released from the World Bank, because we all know that finances are the problem with solving the dump issue. So in order for us to get this money as quick as possible from the World Bank, it needs to go through the procurement phase. And that's why the consultants, their consultants, are right now assessing the whole problem so that we do this, you know, diligently. We dot all I's, cross all T's, make sure everything is perfect so we can move on with this issue in solving the problem. So that's what's going on right now. Thanks.
Thank you, Minister Heetherson. Alita Singh, you have the final question.
Thank you again. We're like Minister of Justice, Mr. Cornelius de Wever. A walk through Front Street will show that several of the monuments there are being rather repaired by local individuals who can manage it, and by I would hope government, because one of those monuments is the courthouse. Can you give an idea of what is happening with that historical building? It's a gateway into the country for tourism, etc., and even for residents. What are the plans? Is there money to fix it? When will it be fixed?
Thank you, Ms. Singh. The joint court, we've met with them a couple weeks ago. They will be doing the repairs. Of course, the insurance also has to, the settlement has to be finalized as well through government, and we're going to begin with the repairs, but they're going to start with the repairs from their own finances, and then government will reimburse them as we go forward. The timeline, I'm not sure, but I know it's supposed to start because I know they had secured the, what they used to call the old constitutional building, but where the joint court sits now, because that has to be changed into concrete, make it a concrete roof, and the plans and all that had to be approved before they could start that construction. We're also looking at behind the courthouse and seeing what can be done there as well to enhance the entire area. Thanks.
Thank you, Minister de Wever. Honorable Ministers of the Council, members of the media, radio listeners, and online viewers, this brings us to the end of the live Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, July 4th, 2018. For rebroadcast, tune in every evening at 7 p.m. on St. Martin Cable TV. For video on demand, log on to the official government's website at www.stmartingov.org. On behalf of the Department of Communication, I'm Relaika Roach, and do have a pleasant day.